Thank you for joining us again on the AM show. This time we get into the big stories, and it's an exclusive interview, AM exclusive, with an industrialist, a former president of the Association of Ghana Industries, in respect of President John Mahama swearing in his first batch of ministers, 6 of them. Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Forson, Energy Minister John Abdullahi Jinapor, Attorney General Minister of Justice Dr. Ayine, among others. He's charging them to serve with humility and candor. But what are the expectations of the business community, the business players, in a new business environment, especially as we talk about a 24-hour economy and more? Joining us in the studio, we have Dr. Prince Kofi Kludjeson. He is former president of the Association of Ghana Industries. He joins the conversation. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Same to you. The last time we had a conversation, I think, was at the other side, not in this new studio.
Yeah, very beautiful. This is pretty.
We're grateful. Now, let's hit the ground running. What do you make of the nominees, first of all, before we get into those who have been appointed and what it means for business? The signaling so far from President Mahama, and what do you see?
I'm very impressed, and most people are. So are a lot of the country is very calm, because of the credibility of the president and also the credibility of those who are being named, and their humility, which is the key, in trying to transform Ghana and resetting Ghana to a 24-hour economy. So what I see now, if they keep to that tracking, I think that things will transform and develop. One of the major problems or issues in Ghana, people think that it's only the government who make things happen. But if you can have this kind of humility and calm, then many people, the corporate and other one, can support, the governance of this country to its success. So basically, so far, I think it's extremely very good. And then let's continue the hope that they stay on track to reset, and then we can get the needed support that we have, both from the local community and also the international community.
So far, the signaling is good. But then let's get into the details of the appointees, especially with a focus on critical areas of our economy, energy and finance. And we have John Abdullahi Jinapor, and then we also have Dr. Kasiel Forson. When you take these two, for starters, and their profiles, what they represent. Dr. Kasiel Forson has been a Deputy Minister of Finance before. John Abdullahi Jinapor has spoken to the issues in the energy sector for donkey years. What do you make of their mettle in respect of not just handling the ministries, but the problems we have vis-a-vis business?
You see, in the world that we live in, it is individuals that change and transform issues. If you look at these two, I watch them on their vetting, their humility and then their ideas, and focus on what they can do, and also looking for help when needed. I think it's really bringing a very major good signs. If you look at Jinapor started this as a very young man all the way here, very experienced, very endowed in that sector, and believe that it can be done, very honest, for my estimation, so far. And I believe that the issues in Ghana are not that major if the people who are leading it are truthful to themselves, the country, and the people. Then other help can come, because the issues that are there is only how do we get stable oil and energy for the light to be on 24 hours of the economy for the Ghana to operate. That's basically his job. And so there are a lot of experts and technical people who are there to support him based on his leadership. Now, but if the leadership is not credible and not trustworthy, then people start lagging behind and all of that things start happening. So I believe that so far, Jinapor, it's quite a great, it's not more a young one, it's a man, growing with maturity. And I think that he will deliver, and then also be the president of his second term. We cannot afford to fail. So everybody must go with, period, and also make sure that we excel beyond reasonable doubt as what we are. If you look at, the finance minister all along, also very experienced. I think when he was at the interview, you continue referring to Setekwe, the former one that I learned under him. So all the mistakes, all the issues.
Who is now going to be an advisor.
Advisor.
On the economy.
Okay, also on the economy. So I think the team is quite good. The team, I think, is quite good. I know them personally, being the AGI president before, and I work with them. if they can just stay to the policies, and or to reset without going around misleading the public for you, the media to be, repetitive, reminding that this is not what you said, this is what must be done, and they just focus on the business. We, the business community, call it a business plan. If they can focus on the policy of government that lets us achieve and excel, by even 10%, it will be great for this country. You see, if you look at what happened for the inauguration, it tells you the expectation of Ghana. Within 30 days, many people from all over, 22 heads of states, many people came here. Right. They got visa, they got appointment, they got tickets, they got bookings, and they arrived in Ghana. What are they?
It was significant.
Very significant. So that's confidence. That's confidence in new administration. So therefore, all those who are appointed, and luckily the president also said, look, I'm going to appoint a 60-minister lean government to make sure that they focus. And what is really surprising me that, again, like I said on another session a few minutes ago, they are young. You see, this country, don't underestimate the power of the young people. Doesn't matter how they are. Because that is where the center of gravity is. People can have all the ideas. If you look at all over the world, people who are leading the country, they're young, they're honest, and they succeed. So when you do that, credibility and others, come to support you. Because like I said, most of these things, like your studio, it was done by a young man many years ago. Now many people are employed, and credibility is continuing going. So they are very young, resolute, very educated, very experienced background. So all they need is that to focus on the presidential agenda, the policy of government, and also improve it to be more positive, so that jobs also can be created for the teeming youth, who are really, lacking, for no job, so that we can get credibility.
Permit me to do this. Even as we contextualize the conversation further, we must look at where we are and what challenges these individuals are going to face. We are looking at cocoa production having slumped to some record levels. We're looking at an exchange rate that is still inhibitive. We're looking, and that also impacts when you go to the bank for a loan, the rates at which you would get them. We are looking at inflation still being high. The finance minister, when he spoke in Parliament, spoke about what he would do and how he was hoping to bring inflation down. You are looking at the cost of living being high. You are looking at the cost of doing business being high. These are some of the problems. What other problems do you see? There's also the energy sector issue and trying to deal with them. And how do you think, from the business angle, these two ministers, let's focus on them for now, and maybe you can add trade as well, the lady, Elizabeth Ofosu-Adjei. How do you think together they can work to tackle these issues?
You see, all these problems, that we talked about, they are academic, inflation, this, that. Ghana's debt is not too much, if you look at other countries, and what they do, what they are doing to be able to resolve that. I think the major problem in Ghana is equity. You see, we have a lot of minerals, we have a lot of resources, we have so many things, but we don't own them. We own very, very little.
We own them, but we don't own them because in terms of the extractive...
The ownership of the thing.
Exactly.
So I think that if it's not the presidential agenda, I think it should make sure that it becomes his agenda. Because if you look at what is happening in Burkina Faso, it's nothing. It's just that the Germans saw it and they increased the Burkina Faso ownership of their resources.
Right.
And the revenue came up.
Right.
And other things that happened.
They were getting a pittance for it, and now they're getting so much more.
Too much. So is Niger, so is all the Sahel thing they're talking about. I'm sure some people are advising them, So if the president can bring this as a focus, and then I know the president will be a good negotiator as well, and meet all these Brentwood institutions and say, look, you guys, this kind of maintenance asking me to do this, now we can do it, but give me space to restructure my country and reset my agenda. I think we'll be able to get, some kind of support from there. But I think that, for the next, if it's not the president's agenda, we should go for, how can GNPC not own much of our oil reserves in terms of numbers?
Right.
You see, if you look at South Africa and others, many years ago, they had to go to Singapore, Malaysia to learn about the equity, and they create and found the black empowerment, which gives them 30% equity. Things started beginning from there. Ownership begins from there. If you look at most of the country, even if you look at Donald Trump, swearing in. That's even America. He talk about high equity, low taxes, but high equity for the United States to be a big country. So I think it should be part and parcel of the big agenda for the president, so that we can move on in equity. Because you see, there are a lot of minerals that are now being developed. So even if not the old one, if you look at the lithium with the recent crescendo all over the world, should we now say that, okay, that one there, the new one that are coming, the country should go for 50% or whatever.
But even there, if you look at the erstwhile administration and some of what we've been
zero
talking
almost,
about, the former Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Abu Jinapor, you'd realize that we're not, I think we're talking about 10%, which in itself, to be fair to them, was higher. Higher
against the
current 3%, 5%, maybe 6-7% we have been getting. But still, what some of you would say was a pittance.
Too much.
It's far cry from what we could
do.
Too
low, I think Ghana should focus on equity. Yeah, there will be complaints, but I believe that the president is a good negotiator, okay? Meet the people, meet the miners, whatever. Yeah, people argue that Ghana sold. Yeah, we sold before, but not now. I remember when I was very young, Gowon, stood in Nigeria and told all the miners that today I want to thank you for coming to develop Nigeria in the honors, but I'm happy to tell you that Nigeria will take 50% equity in all that you have done. Equity is the biggest problem of Ghana's problem, because even the business side, we don't own anything. People will say they have money, but the Ghana Companies Code says that our shares have no power value. That's what the law says. So all the problem that we have while we argue, we go to government for the polity, the foreigner is going for his side and getting papers who say that I own the company. So I think that is what matters. Jinapor and all that, they are very, very good. Like the Minister of Finance has also said, something that he said, it should just move for equity and allow. See, Ghana has an Exim Bank, I was just in China about 3 months ago. Exim banks are very, very powerful, banks, which are more powerful than the traditional banks, that make sure that businesses succeed in terms of credit. The power of credit, for different terms, which is really important, and also for export. Now, Burkina Faso, they're just doing tomatoes exports, big factories, and it's changing the dynamics. So I think
we even buy some from them.
Yes, we are buying from them, So I believe that, one of the major things from the business and my experience in all these matters, when I say we'll push this equity thing. We got, close to local content laws or whatever it is. But I think the 24-hour economy is great. I think that the president,
we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get to the 24.
So I think let's move on equity, basically that's what it is. The other one, the IMF and all of that's not that much, 3 billion, whatever they're talking about. They are not much debt. It's how we negotiated it before. And things that went in, why they became very, very hard on us. But I believe that they are very, very good, ministers, who can be able to negotiate. Usatekwe also going after the economy he had experienced, before, and doing all this in by the time 11, SLAB, budget, so and so and so. I think, and then we, the private sector, should also support government. One of the major issues I want to encourage this around is the Ghana Bar Association. You see, Ghana Bar Association should be more proactive. Look, let me
in which sense?
The whole country is law. All the agreement that comes there is law.
Right.
Whatever they sign is law. People don't, but the Ghana Bar Association and their members who do these things, they must be able to look at Ghana first.
Oh, I see.
So that is a major problem with Ghana. You sign the agreement, but you don't know what the content is. We fly sign agreement, we don't know what the content is. So,
but let's put that into perspective. The Ghana Bar Association, yes, unless you are referencing the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, who has to ensure that all of these things, which is why when there are such issues that crop up, they are taken to the Attorney General to take a look at what on the face of it we stand to gain or lose, and then give a verdict to government, which is acted upon. What role exactly are you proffering for the Ghana Bar Association? Because they may not technically work hand in glove with
well, see, what you don't know,
government.
We talk about Attorney General. When I think of Attorney General, he meant it to somebody.
Okay.
You see, majority of these agreements are done by private lawyers behind the scenes.
Okay. I just wanted you to clarify.
That's what I'm trying to clarify. Most of them, we just Attorney General. Attorney General is head of our policy.
Right.
But the practicality is not done by him. They finish it and bring it to his table, and he takes the president. You see, so if we, the operators, the private sector, which is the Ghana Bar Association, I'm talking about the lawyers. The Attorney General also belongs to the Ghana Bar Association. So the lawyer this time around, they must be more proactive and try to negotiate things in law that helps the country more than just their fees, So I think that if the Attorney General can get the Bar Association to understand the new policy of government so that the agreement that we sign, you see, all that we face is all the agreement that we sign. It's the agreement that go to court, arbitration, and what have you, for negotiation, whatever it is. We have said it, we have done it. But I believe that if you get a positive agreement, which also go to equity policy, I think that we'll be getting somewhere.
Right. Let's move the conversation forward a bit. And yes, Elizabeth Ofosu Ejari, a correction there, not a J. Elizabeth Ofosu Ejari. She's Minister Designate for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. I've heard talk about an operation to feed the industries, right? Something reminiscent of what Ignatius Kutu Champong did. Operation Feed Yourself, Operation Feed the Industries. There's also talk about government providing incentives for agribusinesses to produce raw materials. And I'm sure you can tell why I'm focusing on raw materials, because industry thrives on that. What do you think of such policies? And beyond the rhetoric, beyond the talk, how do we actualize them?
You see, the lady is also very nice, very, very experienced person. She's been the minister before, and the issue that they are bringing about is what must be done. We are inviting the private sector to support us to create these opportunities. If you talk about Ignatius Champong, I came from the US many years ago because of that policy, Operation Feed Yourself, which became, it was just a rhetoric from beginning, but it was actualized by the support of the private sector. You see, so therefore, Ministry of Trade was a very, very powerful ministry also many years ago, very, very powerful. When you come, you go there first, and then you go through all the training, all the issue, and then you go to the sector. So if the people who are managing there go to why is Ministry of Trade there for? Ministry of Trade is supposed to support trade for Ghana, increase trade, bring revenue, make a lot of the Ghanaians who want to do business to go into trade. You see, look, when you look at GUTA,
the Ghana Union of Trade.
When we started them, I started them many years ago when they came back. Today they're almost 8 million, from ground zero. Yeah. Now if you can be able to, assist and support them, and also get their rhetorics out and focus on their business, of trade, which is what they are supposed to do, basically export and also bring, revenue to the country, not only import and moving, to be able to establish industry, which was their focus at that time. I believe that because they have equity, and need to invest into industrial. You see, there are a lot of hidden, avenues, for where Ghana is not looking at, what makes the other countries very great. You see, there are a lot of associations, they own almost all the shops in Ghana. When they say close, they close, the economy goes down. But nobody creates value on who they are, you understand? So the value proposition like the lady, the minister is talking about is key. I would do this, but who would implement it? Who will be the focus, constituents? You should be friendly to the business community. I was at a church on Sunday, and then I hear the chief of staff saying that now they're going to go back to Ministry of Trade and focus there. So all the young people who have an idea should now go to Ministry of Trade, put their proposal there, and then government will look at it and see how we can support the needed private sector to grow again. That was his statement. So if that's what they're going to do, then I can say that I applaud it, that it's a very major, decision to do. And the key for Ministry of Trade, all that they need to do, that we have very strong trade and industry associations in Ghana. It should make sure that they listen to them, collaborate with them, and work with them so that we can achieve the desired goals of the ministry.
When you look at, since you've broached the subject of importation, you remember that Kobnata Hugh Hammond, KT Hammond as we call him, had wanted a bill on reducing certain imports and all of that, but some technicalities could not be agreed upon. How do we reduce our import bill? Because ensuring up our economy would also want local businesses to produce what we eat, what we drink, what we use, so that local businesses will grow and will also be able to save the hard currency we would have used to import. How do we go about it?
All these issues about people, you identify this, you identify this. Let us take a holistic approach of Ghana, and then not segment what it is. Why are they importing those items? Can we do them in Ghana here? If the answer is yes, why are we not doing them? You understand? You see, all these things are not difficult to do. What is difficult to do is the blockades that are there. like I said, most of the young countries who are now, they are doing it, and, the new ones, they've learned. You see, if you go to Benin today, you're surprised what is happening in Benin today, So I think that...
Tell us about some of what you see.
If you go to Benin today, Benin has changed and it's changing. Why? There are many, many, many young people who were brought from the U.S., the private sector, who don't have position, but they are supporting government to achieve the goals of government.
Right.
Right. So it's all about strategy. You see, Ghana, when you travel around, I'm telling you, I'm in the technology industry. There are many, many, many Ghanaians, very, very powerful, all over the place. Why are we here when 73% of our thing is analog? It's a very, very, very serious matter. When you go to the World Bank, you go to the IMF, you go to the investment bank, there are many, many solid Ghanaians. Let us find a way and bring, they don't have to have positions, they don't have to be ministers, they don't have to, even if the president is going to the US, like other countries that I know do, India and others do, you don't need to take people from here. You can take the citizens from there, give them card, office of the president for that period,
right.
Let them support you to achieve your negotiations. Right. It's all about negotiations.
So we need to tap into the human resource.
We need to tap with the human resource.
Right.
There's a lot of money around. Even the Ghanaians abroad, if you look at the foreign currency coming in or the forex, about the Ghanaians abroad, it's a lot. It can save a lot of, and some of them are at the very strategic places. They don't even want to be known that they are here. So I think that let us also tap into Ghanaians abroad, our citizens, our children abroad, to support this reset agenda. So that we can provide services. You see, it's not easy for the next 2-4 years to do all these things for it to happen. What are the priority areas? What will save Ghana? What will be able to get it out of the doldrums? It's all about negotiation. Many years ago, Rawlinson, we have to go to Washington and bring Ghanaians from the World Bank to support him to do the economic recovery program even at that time. So these are the issues which I think that we need to focus on. So Jenapo and all of them, so they also have colleagues, they are friends, they have gone, classmates who are everywhere. Tap into them and see what help they can give for it to structure the new economy, the new agenda, people are calling new independence, so that we can get out of this very, very fast.
Okay. We need to find a rapid way of growing our economy and industrializing, so to speak. Of course, the economists will tell you that sometimes if you industrialize too quickly too, there could be different effects, and also there could be the resource curse. But in respect of industry and raw materials, she had this to say. She expressed worry over how these agro-producing factories had been operating for years but had been unable to provide sufficient raw materials. And she spoke in respect of 1D, 1F. Then I'd like to link that to the 24-hour economy, because touching on that, she linked them and she said, quoting her, so 1D, 1F companies that will sign on to the 24-hour economy policy will get the benefit of tax holidays and also the benefit of stimulus packages for their rapid growth. I've heard talk about if you are operating from the evening to a certain point, you are going to pay less for electricity and all of that. Let's hive off electricity for now. Is this workable?
You see, the whole world, the president just made the 24-hour economy and it become like a brand. The whole world work on 3 shifts economy. 3 shifts economy.
The whole world?
The whole world. Most of the world that succeeds, Japan, America, where we grew up, China, is 3 shifts.
Because I know there are certain cities, more or less, Tokyo, New York.
Everywhere, most of the time.
Sydney, see, there are places
and
that...
if you even as students, those of us who are students in America, whatever it is, you go to school and you have 2 other jobs to do to survive, to pay school fees. So the 24-hour economy should focus on the policies that will allow, many years ago, your industrial area, Tema, there were 24-hour industrial economies, Valco, Kaiser Aluminium, and all of them, Kaneshi and all of them. They were big, big industries those days. What happened? Why did they close down? You see, it is not only the foreign company that we need to mention. Nestle, so and so and so and so. Ghanaians have a lot of capacity for it to establish big, big, big industries in Ghana here, if we have equity laws backing them. You see, if $1 million is passed, Ghana, the Ghanaian sovereign equity is 30%. It's easy, we can do that. You see, so that, the company does not have to come have 100%. The most problem about industry startup is equity. Because if the thing is $10 million, and then you are supposed to bring about having 10 or 20, even 10% or 20%, it's difficult. But if there are policies, like the chief of staff is saying, that they can now assist. it's also going to go back to who the new governor of Bank of Ghana should be. You know, it's someone that has to have his mindset and heart on Ghana.
You say, just to hold you briefly, whom the new governor is going to be. Do we necessarily need to change the governor?
Well, I think so, because the policy of governor is key. Federal Reserve Bank, it's really key.
I know of it. I just want to know what you think.
Some
have also postulated that this bit about, okay, the governor will go, well, he's going to hit his, official, I don't know whether it's retirement at some point.
Whatever it is, you see, I'm a businessman, we are industry. We need a financial good policy from the government of Ghana, which goes to governor. You see, if you look at the law, the Minister of Finance, which for policy, governor is for monetary policy. I'm sorry, I'm vying. But you also need that. You see, when you go around negotiating all over the world, there are things that they see. They press the computer button and see what is the policy rate. Policy rate is too high in Ghana here. Why should banks be borrowing at 37, give you loan at 37%, and where somewhere, 10, 5, 15%? The policy rate is too high for the banks. You don't blame the banks, blame the Bank of Ghana. You see, so the policy rate
because it's a central bank that also determines what that policy rate
will be,
which also determines the rate at
everything
which
else, everything.
The banks will lend to ordinary citizens or even businesses.
Everything. You see, people are talking every day they print money. Many accounts, they don't print money. It's all about cards. It's all about chips, on a card, credit cards or ATM cards or whatever, novelty cards. That runs the economy. Many countries, they don't even accept cash, because, so if the country has to go for, where we are today, the 24-hour economy, I the president should also make sure they add the digital economy. You see, the president, very knowledgeable also in that sector, because he, the one who signed the digital agreement, or what we call the integration agreement, at his time before he led Ministry of Communication. So those agreements must be implemented. You see, there's too much cash society in this country. Every day they are printing cards, They don't need to print cards. But if the policy rate comes down, the banks can lend lower, the industrialization will pick up.
But how do we get the policy rate to come down? That's where the devil is, isn't it?
It's all about the person who will be the next governor. It's all about people. You see, the issue of the negatives in Ghana are no negatives. You see, I just came here to a new studio. What happened with this hard economy? You, the staff, you make sure it happened. It's not the founder of the company that built the new studio. It's the staff. So policy issues are very good. And it's immune to we, the individual, and the citizens of the country. And also who do they have credibility, who have the credit to do this. And there are many countries, there are many case studies I can give you, but you don't have time. But if you look at other countries like India, whatever, they are doing it. But even the current African countries, they are doing it. When you travel the whole of Africa, now you start seeing a lot of improvement in many of the countries like Senegal and all this. Signs are showing, like what the president is about to do. So I think that there might be that kind of support. I don't want to get into rhetoric, but let us focus on what is important. The minutest things, step by step. We achieve this, we achieve this, we achieve this. Once you achieve it, like the Minister of Finance has said, I think once you can do that and the consultation are done, and the president must be briefed with the right information.
Okay. Let me ask you this, feeding into the conversation of industry. When we listen to the energy minister, but when he was still a nominee and came before the appointments committee for vetting, he spoke about how precarious our energy situation was. There's also been talk about privatizing some aspects of the work of ECG. Where do you stand on that? We look at the cash waterfall mechanism, which, according to industry players, hasn't fulfilled fully what its purpose was. We look at the IPPs and the sector debt. You're looking at $3 billion, the equivalent now of about 45 billion plus CDs. And then you look at the fact that the clock is ticking. We must get this right, else industry will suffer. And we also have a 24-hour economy on our hands. What has to give for us to get this right?
Well, personally, and in consultation of many, I don't personally think that privatization again on initial stage of ECG should be the way to go. And I tell you what, business of ECG is run by individuals. Now, if you look at all the problems of about the IPPs or whatever you call them, they are also established, but they are Ghanaian human beings who are running them. Let's rather look quickly at the issues of ECG. What are the problems of ECG? You know, and you see, like I'll talk about equity from the very beginning. Let's make ECG very strong as a backbone, you know, for Ghana's energy policy. But if you go to the private sector and the Ghanaians cannot be the owners of that privatization, it worries me. Unless we, the Ghanaian, you know, with the same economy, are going to be the one who have knowledge and have the funding to hold that equity for the new privatized equity, then of course that's another matter. But if the Ghanaians, we are not going to be those who hold that equity, you know, for the new privatized economy, then it's very worrying, you know. So, you know, it seems that probably we should go slow on that. I don't know what goes into that quick privatization for the next 6 months. But I believe that let's rather look at what the problems are. They should tell us what the problems.
Let me tell you what the problems, you know, are. You look at ECG, they are purchasing in dollars, they are selling in cedis, which means that ab initio, they are going to incur losses. There are also losses from people who tap into electricity they are not paying for. In other words, power theft, right? You put that together and it's a deadly cocktail. It means ECG will never be able to break even. And if you look at the trajectory of the losses of ECG, I think it's only once in about a 10+ year bracket that they made anything close to a profit. I think over 400 million Ghana cedis. Ever since then, it's always been debt upon debt upon debt. And the debt is even bigger now. Private enterprises will ensure that you are getting value for money because they are looking at equity. They are looking at their shares. They are looking at the shareholders and ensuring that they are making some level of profit so that it can be spread across. Some say we need the sanity of private enterprise to regulate an entity like this.
Well, I don't know about, you see, why do we have to buy in dollars? We're in Ghana. It's our country. Who is selling to us in dollars?
Well, the power that is generated is not going to be sold to you in cedis.
Who is generating the power? Who is generating the power? The power is being generated by those we gave licenses to operate in our country, you know, and they're also selling back to us in dollars. We are selling to cities. Why can't they sell it to us in cities?
But the international operational system, I mean, we know.
Well, whatever it is,
you
see,
you operate with certain currencies, and that's exactly what they're doing.
If you look at the BRIC story that are going around all over all over Africa, you see the BRIC story. You see, people must find a way out. See, don't become a slave in your own country to other issues that will let you suffer. You understand? You know, there are many, India and all that, they are finding ways. Everybody is finding ways to get out of the reasons why we are having problems. You see, but if you're going to talk about the dollar thing, that's the reason why we buy in dollars, we buy in cities. No, I don't think we buy in dollars and cities. It's also our collection system, you know, or the payment system of the recovery system of our revenue. Do you find other ways and means to do that? You know, I'm not saying they shouldn't privatize, but I believe that if you should privatize, there must be Ghana local equity in it. Maybe there must be a consortium formed with the ECG owning so much equity in that consortium, but not total privatization. You know?
Right.
You know, but to say that we are privatizing to another company who might be probably a foreign company again, nobody knows where it comes from.
So you are against like a PDS arrangement?
Yes, of course. You see, I'm a very big believer of equity because I've been in this game for so long, and many of us as Ghanaian businesses, just give it the laws, let's operate, let's bring you the solution.
But with ECG, it's never been a wholesale, you know, we are letting everything go.
Yes, you see,
because power is crucial. Power, water, energy, water, you can't let all of it go. But where we are now, some say we need some level of that.
You see, I've been involved in all these issues, you know, why are we where we are? Why do we decide to go privatize to IPPs or whatever? Or the policies then? Who are owners of those things? Why we have this problem? We've been there before. You see, ECG was a very powerful, VRA, ECG. These two, they were very, very powerful entities many years ago. Because the Hayford time, Akaleti time, whatever, they're very powerful. Why did we get here? I think we also need to take some stocks. Why did we get here? You know, why can we continue privatize? To who? You see, to who for me is the key. Many people may have other ideas. You see, but I know the IPP, I know the owners, I know what happened, I know how they got there, I know who are really behind the IPPs. You see, it's all about, this is our country. We want to do it, they want to do it. People will come. People will make sure that we do it. But if the privatization, there might be full disclosures as to what, look, I came out one day from the US and then my brought me a new meter. You know, that they brought a new meter in the house. And I look at the code. When I Google the code, the ownership of that who was doing it came to another country. I will not disclose. You know, the meter in your house. You know, so if you go to intellectual property and then you Google, it takes you to the ownership of who is operating that behind the scene at the ECG. See, there are too many people from behind ECG. They must just go off, you know, and let the Ghanaians get in there. If not here, let's get the Ghanaian abroad to get in there, or friendly people who can operate the thing for it to get on energy. I mean, technology. Look, in India, majority of the energy provided to the state is from the telecom operators. In my village and many villages, where there's a tower, there's a 100 kVA generator there. So that 500 kVA in that village is not being used. There are batteries there. All over the country. So when you look at other jurisdictions, what it is that supports the ECG to provide power. Certain, industries also provide, and they become licensed operators as well. Case state of India, they know very well. So we should look at other options all over. And you see, Ghana needs job. Ghana needs establishment. We need to own our company. We need to own our country. There are many, many areas. People must be friendly to industry. You see, Asia is talking, Chamber is talking, Guta is talking. Let us listen and see what we can do to create local capacity. Because if you are not operating local, we continue doing, let's do to solve short solutions. If we need to bring a major company in the world to come and partner with government, on a joint venture basis, let's do so. And after 5 years, after so many years, they go. So we own the company and we restructure. But as long as we are not doing that, we continue having short term because there's no getting power in Ghana for the life of Ghana for the next 10 years can be done based on negotiation. It doesn't have to be equity, it doesn't have to be whatever. Another thing I want to China, there's even butter. We'll give you this, but you want, a lot of food from Ghana. Even anchovies. In China, I was surprised that anchovy, they want as many cassava, they can buy as many, so and so. So they can also look at the butter trade. You see, which will also give us revenue, and a lot of revenue, which will allow the 1 day, whatever they call it, to step up.
Okay. You've said a lot about power. I just want us to focus on a little bit of what the business community can also do before I come to your expectations, right? This government has spoken about taking out some nuisance taxes, so to speak. Betting tax, some people disagree on that. The e-levy, among others, okay? But the finance minister has also spoken about widening the tax net, and it's easier said than done. But I want to just paint a short picture from the Argentine example. I don't know whether you've heard about Javier Milei. It's been a little over a year since he introduced radical change in Argentina. The central bank was $12 billion in debt. The poverty rate, 50%. Inflation, 7,500%. He came in a little over a year, radical moves, slashed government ministries from 18 to 9, and now it is 8. Systematically removed 50,000 government employees. And I think some people may not like what I'm saying when I mention this. In fact, it was so radical, the people called him El Loco, the madman. But there was a method to his madness. The true tax burden isn't what citizens pay in taxes. It's the total size of the state apparatus itself. So, the president is reducing ministries and reducing ministers, right? But the tax component, scrapping taxes, how do we shore up? How can the business community support? And I say this because some of the business community also don't pay taxes. Your take?
See, there is something we call power to the people, like the Argentina guy. You see, there are a lot of things that need to be done. Do you know Senate's contribution? Total about 2 or 3 million people who contribute to Senate. That's it, out of 30 million people. Yeah. You see, because
the workforce is smaller than 30 million.
When you go to Rwanda now, the total transformation of Rwanda is about the equivalent of Senate in Rwanda. The last 32 years of Rwanda, Vision City, all kinds of things. See, people will always pay tax when the right policies are done for the tax we collected from the people. There's so many things, like you're talking about the Argentina experience, not only Argentina experience, there's so many experiences in Africa today where people are doing things different. I mean, could you believe that even the bullying of these French young ones say, look, French troops leave my country. They are policies. You see, so let us just come with policy and see what we can do. You say, look, this whole thing, when you travel all over the world, it's all about people. When you elect a president, when you elect the people, those that, I mean, if you look at the president, it may be a joke. He's bringing Elon Musk for whatever they call it, governance of something. You see, where the talents are, let's look for the talent. Ghana has abundance of talent. What I'm saying is that from the economic recovery program of this country, I've been involved in a lot of things, and I know that it's all about people. It's all about we, the Ghanaians. We have knowledge. Give us the power, try us, give us the support, and we'll deliver. You see, whatever you go, it's all negotiations. Wherever you go, it's all about negotiations.
Let me pin you down on the bit of taxes. Of course, how stringent should we be in terms of navigating the tax burden? Because without taxes, the state cannot give us government cannot give us what we need. But at the same time, the complaint has been that we pay our taxes and we don't see the effect of the taxes. Road tolls, for example. Now, the take is that we'll bring them back, which, to be fair, has been said in the past. But what is going to be the effect? How do we maximize taxes?
You see, Ghana is too unitary. The law that governs Ghana says that there must be 260 or so municipalities that should govern the country, headed by a mayor and then a county or region. You see, there cannot be that central governance for Ghana to serve Nalarigo, to serve Have, and all of them, and we think we'll succeed. Give power to the people.
Decentralized.
Decentralized. That's what the law says. You see, all of us, we are from various communities. We are doing so many things, little. Decentralized. Look, the betting tax. Who owns the betting companies? Who owns the betting companies? When you leave the veil, you find out who owns the betting company. It's not NLA. You understand? Yeah. Again, you see, it is not NLA that owns the betting companies. Who brought the betting companies, the Betway and all of them? Is it for NLA? No, it is not. It's also going, the money is going somewhere. See, let us do a closer look, and do a close talk and navigate and see where are all these things coming from. You see, and if you start eliminating gradually, you start seeing effect. It's cause and effect. Cause and effect. You see, I don't know anything about tax, but I know who is collecting those taxes and why those taxes. Why are the young people betting? Why do you think the young people are betting? That's why, because if there's a good technological ability, young people can be employed with a laptop, and then they're making a lot of money as well. So why don't you do things so that the young people who are betting should also try? They just want to make some money. So the other issue is that what are the benefits of those, who own those betting companies? So see, removing all these taxes is very, very important for some money to be saved. You see, if you look at case example of what happened in the U.S., they said that certain executives were signed and they said, well, we have saved $3 trillion already. So that is what I think the John Mahama is trying to do. First of all, 68 leading ministers, a lot of costs are saved, people are excited. Quality ministers are being appointed. Reputed ministers are being acquitted, like what happened at that Appointing Competence about Haruna Idris and all this. So let us continue on that tangent. If we do, I think things will start changing. There will be peace in the country. With the media, you have to find out something to report on, not like before. So once a positive mental attitude replaces, other issues resolving gradually. I mean, how much the Ghana, tax? The issue is all about debt and expenditure. How do we handle that? How do we manage that? There is a very powerful debt management unit in terms of finance. They're very powerful. If you lead Delex, the guy who's, that's how he grew up, through the debt management situation in terms of finance. See, let's bring what worked before, and then bring them. If you look at all the energy thing, look, VRA, NOED, this and that, from one VRA, there were a lot of splinter all over the place. The question was why.
I still want to come back to the tax issue, the GRA, and the work that has been done. Over the last few years, there has been some positive trajectory in terms of raking in more, but the tax net is not growing that much. What if, as a business person, government asked you, how do we incentivize the citizenry so that apart from indirect taxes, the direct taxes we want to collect, we'll be able to find a mechanism so that every Kojo Ama out there is still willing to contribute to the state kitty. What would you say?
One of the things that the Minister of Local Government said at this vetting, he said that he thinks that one of the major problems about Ghana taxes is property taxes. You know, I mean, the Minister of Local Government, one of the things that he has identified is property taxes. You see, anywhere that you go in the world, you know, tax is something everybody is afraid of, you know, and the people who also manage the tax authorities, you know, like the US and others, the IRS is coming to you tomorrow, you run, you understand? You see, so I think that I don't want to impute all these economy, whatever it is. Let us look back at what used to be, you know, where do we get here, what do we need to do? You see, there's not any blame game. But I think that the president has said, I'll reset the country. Let's go back to that foundation. What are the issues? If it's taxes, let's look at how do we do it? Look, there are tons and tons of professors all over the place in Ghana here today. You know, there are consultants for other countries as well. You know, I mean, why are we here? You see, when people come here, you meet them. You know, have some, you know, big company in Ghana right now, called Worldviewer, you know, trying to negotiate with us how to transform Ghana and Africa into a technology country. There are many, many ideas that are out there. There are a lot of money. People want to come to Ghana now. You see, the key asset for Ghana today, Ghana is the headquarters of African continental trade. You know, whether you understand, you don't understand it, everybody wants to be in Ghana, and then invest in the other African countries. One of the things that I learned when the US, they say, even one of the major said about Ghana is that how come we don't have an airline? Because when you arrive in Ghana, you know, going to the other African countries is very difficult. It's not only about taxes. What will bring in more money, more revenue, which will be taxed, you know, on a major tax bill. I think that should be the major issue which you're looking at, so that the fund remain in Ghana. You see, so those are some of the issues we need to be looking at. If you look at the Ghanaians abroad, why are they sending a lot of money to this country? You see, so the issue we need revenue, we need inflow of money. And then I just look at the recent tax revenue of Ghana. The lady was complaining about the one who's leaving, you know, that she has lifted Ghana tax and so and so. It's fine. What are the issues? You see, look, if you look at the business community, we always complain, you know, this, that, and that, and that, and that. Listen to us. Let's see how we can resolve that one. The Guta, those who are really doing the trade, where had the money been leakage? You know, look, I can tell you, the ports. Look, I have an expert who told me that if you have the tax at the ports, you get more revenue. The reason is that when people are trying to struggle money to pay their duty, the boat is not gone, you know, so you cannot come back earlier. So there are all kind of dynamics, you know.
To all of these ought to be addressed from the financial perspective.
That's all. Once you address them, the petty, the micro to micro, we'll get there.
Let me take some messages. Musa says, so far all nominees deserve commendation for their insightful and impactful contributions to the vetting committee. You say their remarks resonate strongly with the priorities of the president. The president's focus on improving the living conditions of citizens and restoring the economy to its former glory. Okay, so it goes on and on. You say it's timely and necessary. Yabua Benjamin says, I have limited knowledge on how this energy sector operates, but I think ECG should evolve from the current state of a mere power distributor or distribution arm to become a fully or partially, so full or partial owner of power itself by way of investing it into establishing mini solar farms to add up to the energy bulk being distributed. We can't solely rely on these IPPs, which only God knows where they are coming from. It goes on and on. But of course, we segregated the power structure or the energy structure so that the gridcos and the VRAs play their own role. And then when it comes to power distribution, down south, you have ECG, and then up north, you have NETCO taking it from there. If we have to restructure, well, if we are resetting, we might as well look at some of those dynamics. But just to wrap on before I take your expectations, you see, as I brought in the Argentinian leader, because if you look at what has happened in a short space of time, wholesale inflation plummeted from 54% to 2% monthly. Core monetary inflation was down to 0.2% monthly. Poverty reduced from 57% to 46%. The GDP recovered quite a bit, and he did all of this with only 15% of representatives, 10% of senators. No hyperinflation trigger to reset expectations, no price controls, no fixed exchange rates. Which brings me then to the question. Of course, if some other country under these circumstances can do it, Ghana surely can.
Of course.
But what would be your expectations in respect of these different dynamics? You're talking about fuel prices. You're talking about inflation. You're talking about the very things that hobble industry and agriculture. If you're buying diesel, for example, to power your equipment on the farm, what is the price of diesel now?
You see, we're putting too much pressure on government. You know, who is government? Government is you and I. We are the individual brain that go in.
But we elect certain key individuals.
So when we let them, all the euphoria goes in there. Okay, should government subsidize it by 50% and then transfer that to some debt level and see how we can do that debt? Maybe. You see, it is Argentina. When you go to Argentina, let me tell you something. It's always the background of the people. The 15 people they're talking about, who are they? What are their backgrounds? Where do they come from? It's not magic. It's all about people. If you go to Wall Street and all of that, they are just young individuals who are there. You know, see, let us put priority and expectation and trust in our young people who have knowledge. You see, because you see, all over the world, that's what it is. If you go to all, see, when people come here, you go to Argentina, those who are making it happen, they are young people with their laptop, you know, so and so, and get it done. But if you're not be able to appreciating the power and the knowledge of these people, it's economics. You know, who are the best economists, you know, in the world? What do we do? How do we do it? Okay, you know, one of the things the World Bank, you know, when they come, one of the things they say, for instance, is that if you look at fuel consumption and whatever, well, we see more four-wheel drive on our road in Ghana than we see it in Washington. You know, they are 12 volts, you know, vehicles. They are high-capacity consumers of power. So, and then they are in traffic, you know, in Ghana. You know, why so? You see, there are a lot of little things which are constitute all these issues. The usage of the, you know, and then if you go to homes, the power usage, you know, so high, the connection, all of them are running at the same time. It's all, I'm sure Argentina has other policies, other principles that make sure that these inflations are down. You see, let's take stock of what is the reason. You know, government has seen something to have that report. So that let's just begin the resetting this. And if it's a power setup, let's reset it. You know, I'm sure if you can get it down to 20-25%, we are getting somewhere. I want to talk about practicalities. You see, not just policy. Can we get the ECG down? CEO of ECG, I'm appointing you there. You know, I want you to bring that the power to 25%. That's your job. He goes and brings the report and make sure that he affects it. You see, so, you know, the governor of Bank of Ghana, the Minister of Finance, this is what we want to do. You see, if you continue talking a lot about rhetorics and this and that, you don't get the Guatemala, you know, Guyana. I can tell you, there are many of them.
So in essence, we, not just individuals, the business community, we must all be willing to tighten our belts to make these things happen.
Yes, there's nothing.
What picture would that paint? How will that happen?
Let the picture come, but let's reset our country.
So we should be willing to also suffer a little.
I went to Kumasi the other day. On the road, only 2 lanes. Many major trucks going through Burkina Faso, carrying a lot of goods, so and so. Let's look at what the priorities are. Who will bring in the revenue? Why should Ghana be restored, you know, and reset to a beautiful country? Yesterday I was at the vetting of the Minister of Tourism. What came up was that why tourism don't come to Ghana anymore, you know, to all the tourist areas. You know, it's, you know, some of the report that I read is ATM, washrooms, and Wi-Fi. As basic as that. You see, so when tourists also come to this country, you know, wow, it's a beautiful country. Like Volta region, for instance, how do we transform Volta region to a tourist state? How do we take Kumasi, Ashanti region, to like a Silicon Valley, you know, in Ashanti? This is one of the projects I'm working on right now. Now, if you look at the projected revenue from these policies, it's a lot. You know, making sure that all the 6 million people in the Volta region, tourism go to Qatar and all of them, to worry about disaster and all of them. The whole of Volta region is like Jamaica and all there, where the beaches, clean skies, you know, blue skies and water, and it is developed. You see, so let's look at the practical ways, you know, to do this and copy. You know, one of the things in business school, if you want to copy your original, don't copy from copy. You see, the kind of statistics that you used to put down, you know, and this and that, you go back then. If you probably look at those statistics and we start making them positive, we've achieved something.
Right.
You see, so that's what, I don't want to, I've been in all government, I've been in so many things, but for me, the only thing I took from John Mahama is reset. Right. Let's reset it. Let's redraw it. We know him very well. He's a very humble person. Let's support him Let's help him so that he become successful, so that Ghana can benefit.
In some 30 seconds, your final words, and maybe you can sneak in there. Maybe let me give you 1 minute. Are there any priority areas that you feel within the first quarter, the first 3 months, this administration should be able to scale, get past? Final words.
If you ask me, to be selfish, in my sector, we should quickly again grow back, the country back quickly, to a cloud technology has been happening so that all of you can move. Secondly, you see, this country, if you look at what is going on right now, everybody is very happy. Let President Mahama and his team just give us good governance so that we can trust them. That's it. If you can get a good governance from the president and his team, we can trust them without worrying about distrust. I think we'll get somewhere.
Okay.
Let's begin from the foundation, which is doing already, and I think we'll get there. Then all of us, all Ghanaians now should come on board, the chiefs, whatever. Let's come to the media, everybody. Let's come to support the president to achieve a 24-hour digital economy so that we can move on from there. Thank you.
Dr. Kludjeson, it's been great having you join the conversation as always. It's always refreshing having you on. And this has been my interaction with Dr. Prince Kofi Kludjeson. He is former President, Association of Ghana Industries. Before we take a breather and return with more, let me tell you, select a solar system from our various solar packages ranging from 30,000 cedis, yeah, that cheap, to 99,000 cedis, depending on your needs. All our solar systems come with lithium-ion batteries, and you know the quality of that. Get a solar water heater, a solar home system, a solar power station, or a solar generator ranging from 1,000 watts to 20,000 watts. Guess what? We also sell reverse osmosis machines for water treatment. Google SolarMate Ghana to find us on both Facebook and Instagram. And you can contact SolarMate Ghana on 0508 320 470. SolarMate Ghana is located at Adregano, East Lagos. SolarMate, we go everywhere. And of course, we'll be taking you somewhere else on our next stop. But you want to stick and stay with us, we'll be right back.